Good morning to our beautiful giant yellow sphere. Welcome to part 2. One of the hardest parts is done. I don't know, maybe the giant screen we will have to build will be harder. We'll see. It will be close. It took us 15 hours to build our giant yellow ball for part 1, and now we have our shell, and now it's time to get back to work. On today's agenda, we have 3 main tasks. First, we're going to build the sphere's podium. Second, we're going to create our LED animation on the Exosphere. Pretty excited about that. And third, we will create our Plaza entry and begin the interior. We're going to get inside this thing for the very first time. I actually thought this podium would give me a lot harder of a time than it did. Maybe that's because I struggled so much with the sphere, but building the podium was pretty simple. It's essentially a stamp of the sphere, and I actually deleted the circle template I built in part 1, so I couldn't reference that, but it's okay because it was pretty straightforward, and I was able to scale the angles fairly quickly. As we build the podium, we're using black plaster walls. I'm a sucker for plaster in this game. It's super versatile, and it works in every color. After I finished my entire circle around the ground level of the sphere, I selected all, created one object, and began tilting the podium to make it ultra realistic. This was the picture I was looking at because it gives us a great view of the podium's angle. It actually makes the street level look crooked, but all of that is obviously straight. It's the podium that is angled. I'm using metal roofs as the top of the podium. This gives that nice shine from every angle, so the metal roofs are absolutely the way to go here. Around this time, I realized it didn't make sense to tilt the podium walls and then try to lay the roof, because each roof piece would have to be angled, so obviously the best strategy would be to rotate the podium walls back to ground level, build the roof, and then rotate the walls and roof together. I got a little excited there. During this time lapse, I want to mention plans for this build in future episodes. We will be making a massive screen on the inside, bigger than, any screen that's actually able to be fully scaled in this game. So the plan is to use multiple screens. That will be a challenge by itself, but we'll be building all of that in the next episode, so be on the lookout for part 3. Not only will we be building the screen, but we're going to be making about a 1 to 2 minute short film based on The Wizard of Oz, which is the current show over at the Sphere in Vegas. And it's going to be great. We're going to create a whole trigger sequence and everything, so if you've seen the videos of the Oz show at the Sphere, you can kind of guess what we'll see. Now that the majority of the podium was finally complete, I moved it back to the base, made sure it was lined up perfectly, then tilted. And even though the podium was a simple build, I was actually really surprised of how much it completed the look of the overall sphere. The shiny metal roof was looking fantastic with the reflection of the in-game lighting, and when looking at pictures, I noticed the higher end of the podium actually had more surface area on the roof than the lower side, so the high side is actually pretty thick and the low side is a little bit thinner. The podium still needed some touch-up work, but it looked like a great start and really helped the sphere come to life. At this point, I was itching to start the Plaza entry. I know creating the LED screen was second on our list, don't worry, that's next, but I wanted to see real part guests walking inside and standing next to everything, so just seeing the real size of this building, the scale, is definitely amazing to see. After placing our path, I began to look for door options. Before I decided on a door, I knew I would have to clear the walls away from the podium, as well as the yellow panels of the sphere behind it, so that we could build the full Plaza entry. Here's a clip of what that Plaza entry looks like. This is a great graphic video by Jared Owen showing all angles of the interior. I'm going to be using this thing like crazy, and our goal is to make everything look realistic. The interior will be very close to the real deal, but I'll put my own spin on some parts. Here I tried to see what doors work best. I really don't love doors in this game. A lot of them only have handles and windows on one side, so I knew I had to find doors that look similar to the real doors at each entry while using the best in-piece asset. Here I am clearing a path for the Plaza entry. This room will be pretty basic and small and won't take too much time, but I thought it was essential to get part guests in here as quickly as possible. Before making a decision on the doors, I wanted to build the outline of the Plaza entry foyer using the path stamps. I love using stamps when making paths just because they allow us to push the path up against the wall with precision, and they also allow me to dictate the real and actual shape of the path with ease. Stamps are definitely the way to go. I rarely use any other path tools. This is actually a big moment here because what I'm doing now is creating a guide that tells me the height of each floor, so when I start building up, I know exactly where I want to place walls and roofs and paths and everything else. There are 7 floors on this bad boy, so knowing how tall each floor should be and making all floors essentially the same height might be a good idea here. With the floor guide complete, I decided to carry over that concrete wall and began placing it in the Plaza entry foyer. I don't know what these walls actually look like in real life, but I really like these concrete walls and want to incorporate them throughout the build when it makes sense. After laying the path for the Plaza entry foyer, I finally decided on a door. This would be the resort door, angular. It makes sense, it's glass, it looks similar to the real doors, and more importantly, we have handles and everything on both sides. I don't love the look of the angled glass at the top of these doors, so I used plaster walls to hide them, and there were a lot of other details in these doors I used plaster to hide as well. After finishing the outside, I spent just a little time working on the inside of the foyer. In this episode, I just really got it started. In future episodes, I want to actually detail it and add metal detectors and security tables and all that, so that will be fun. I really wanted to get started on the emoji animation outside, so I did just the basics for this room. We'll come back to it, the path layout, and what really is an escalator in real life. But of course, we don't have those in Planet Coaster 2 right now, so until we get a pack with escalators, which I really hope is coming soon, we're just placing stairs. This is when I bring my floor guide inside to get a good idea of where the second floor should actually be, and then I align the path's height with the first floor marker. You may be wondering what the ground level or the event level is actually for. When we look at the floor layout, there really isn't a lot on the ground floor besides a couple ways to get onto the stage level, and then also that Plaza entry. A lot of maintenance and things go on in the first floor, but there's also a lot of secrets that people don't really know about. A lot of secrets going on in the basement. So now this is the moment we've been waiting for. It is time to build the emoji. As we remember in part 1, when we built the sphere, we were dealing with the black lines of death. It happens when you're ultra scaling things and working with curves. So before we start our animation, we need to just patch some of these big lines. You can see I started one of our Z's off camera, and I wanted to make sure this would be doable and look really good. And all I needed to see was that one animated Z, and I knew this thing was going to look amazing. The emoji on the sphere has a lot of different animations. It's actually pretty funny. It looks like it's alive, especially when you see it in person. It's pretty insane. I really liked the way it looked while it was sleeping, and it was completely doable, so I decided to go with this animation. I wanted to incorporate the big moving eyes and all of that, but I don't love platforms right now in Planet Coaster 2. I wish it was a little bit easier, but I also know that isn't an excuse. I absolutely do have plans for expanding this animation to include not just the sleeping face, but a sequence of multiple faces. But for now, I think the sleeping face is a great start. It's also almost symbolic in a way, representing an almost half-conscious state while we build the inside. These Z's are attached to a vertical moving platform. They are on a loop and just go in and out of the sphere, representing the floating Z's in the animation. After finishing our third and final Z, it was time to make the eyes. I attached a 4-meter resort balcony wall trim and painted it all black. However, this piece would later be proven to not be black enough, so I ended up fixing it later. As we can see, this is all very doable. Like I said, it's a good start. I think when the interior and screens and seats and everything is done inside, I will definitely come back out here and create a truly amazing sequence of events. It took a little bit to get the eyes down. I wanted them to be perfect before duplicating the next one. And once we were happy with the eyes, it was really coming together and starting to come to life. And now it was time for the final piece, a simple piece, but an important one, the mouth. I made some final adjustments, including making sure the eyes and mouth were moving together and in a realistic way. They're actually barely moving, but I like it that way because it's subtle and adds a peacefulness to all of it. Next episode, we're really getting inside this thing. We're going to continue building our main level where guests can currently reach by going through the Plaza entry and up the stairs. And the big challenge next episode, we're going to build a massive screen with a cool Wizard of Oz film. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it will be a good one. We'll see you then.